You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Kentucky candidate finally poses the question on everyone's minds. Based on an article by Thomas Keeker, McConnell's Vanishing Act is not a mystery. It's a power exercise, the source of the frenzy. The reporting starts with a rumor and ends with a useful truth. Mitch McConnell's prolonged absence after a health emergency has produced a vacuum that other politicians are too timid, too complicit, or too irrelevant to fill. At the Fancy Farms picnic in Kentucky, the crowd chanted, whereas Mitch and an obscure third-party candidate joked about whether McConnell was even alive. The point is not the joke. The point is that the public is being forced to guess because the people who control the office, the narrative, and the machinery around it have not made clarity a priority. Power is being managed, not explained. McConnell is not a random old man with a private medical issue. He is a long-serving senator and a central figure in Republican institutional power. When someone with that level of authority disappears, the relevant question is not whether the gossip is vulgar. It is who benefits from opacity, who can demand disclosure, and who gets to treat a senator's condition as if it were a campaign inconvenience rather than a public matter. That is the real political fact here. Secrecy is not neutral. It protects incumbency, shields party control, and lets powerful people keep governing without answering basic questions. The silence is the story. The most revealing detail is not Campbell's tasteless line. It is that the major candidates around McConnell's seat are operating inside a fog of strategic caution. Democrat Charles Booker at least named the problem directly and tied it to transparency. Republican Andy Barr, according to the reporting, said nothing of substance and stayed quiet as a church mouse. That asymmetry matters. Booker is pointing at the lack of disclosure. Barr is behaving like the arrangement itself is too delicate to disturb. That is what deference to power looks like in practice, not principled restraint, but submission to the idea that the public should be patient while elites decide what it deserves to know. The joke is a cover for institutional cowardice. Secretary of State Mike Ames' moment of silence jab at Amy McGrath is not just petty. It is a performance of contempt, the kind politicians deploy when they want to convert a serious power question into a cheap and group laugh. It says don't ask about accountability, don't ask about the senator's condition, don't ask who is speaking for the seat, just laugh at the Democrat and move on. That is misdirection. The joke is designed to make the audience feel politically savvy while asking it to ignore the actual issue of a powerful office holder's absence and the lack of transparent explanation around it. The candidate making noise is not the point. Christopher Campbell, the third-party Kentucky party candidate, tried to turn the moment into a provocation, comparing the major party contenders to McConnell and Schumer before tossing out his speak ill of the deadline. He may have generated attention, but attention is not authority. He is not the center of this story, no matter how much his remark feeds the spectacle. The center is the structure that lets the senator's condition become a rumor economy. The center is the party system that rewards silence. The center is the media choreography that treats a public office as a private hereditary asset until the public starts asking uncomfortable questions. What this story really shows, this is a case study in how entrenched political power manages crisis with opacity, with ritualized cruelty, and with just enough performance to keep the conversation off the underlying institution. McConnell's health is not a tabloid sideshow. It is a governance issue because the office, the seat, and the authority attached to it are public assets. When power goes silent, speculation rushes in. That is not a character flaw in the public. It is the predictable result of a political class that treats transparency as optional and accountability as bad manners. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article. With the automated voice of Norman, thanks for listening.